If you're anything like me, after you've watched a YouTube video or after you've read a book, then you can hardly remember 90% of what you thought that you learned, even though it felt like you were learning so much. And that's because we were never actually taught how to learn. And that's what I'm going to be going over today. But with this one tip that I'm going to give you, you need to apply it immediately to your life. Maybe not with this video, but at least with the next video. I want you to apply this tip. The more that you apply this tip, the better that your brain will get at helping you to learn more and more and more. And that one tip is to recall and reflect on what you learned. After you watch a video or after you read a book, this is so important. And I know it seems so simple, and that's because it is simple, but I was never taught this tip going through high school or going through most of college. I was never told about this tip, and so I'm in the process of trying to rewire my learning style so that I can improve it as much as possible. And whenever I recall and reflect on the information that I learn so much more, and I promise that you will too. So after you watch a YouTube video, I want you to try and think back for at least 30 to 60 seconds on what that video was about and try to remember as much as possible. And if you are really motivated to learn that information, then I want you to go and rewatch that whole video. Now what this will do is, because you worked so hard to try and remember it, whenever you recognize it, then you will have much stronger neural connections because you worked to try and bring them together. Now, if you just simply watch the video and then go on with your day, then that won't actually mean anything because you hadn't tried to make any connections to any other things or try and remember it. So if you are a student and you are reading a textbook, or if you're just reading a book, I want you to use this and reflect after you read a section in that book, not a chapter, not at first, because at first you won't be able to remember that much if you wait until the end of the chapter. So first, I just want you to reflect after you read one section of the book, and then after you remember as much as you can, and remember, do this for at least 30 seconds, maybe around up to a minute long. Then you can go back and then look through the chapter and see what all you missed and what all you got, and it will help strengthen those neural connections. Now, if you simply just read the book and keep going, but then you scan over later, then you are recognizing the information, but you aren't remembering it. But whenever you recall the information and actively try and bring it to the forefront of your consciousness, it takes so much more effort and strengthens those neural connections. And think about this: if you are a student, and then a test or an exam is simply recalling the information. So the more that you apply this and the more that you recall and reflect the information that you learn from the textbook, the easier that your test will be because you've had so much practice with it. And the more that you do it, your brain will actually start looking for the information that is important in that chapter. Now, if you have a lecture and you are trying to remember things from that lecture, you will have to do something sort of similar. I want you to take notes while you are in the lecture, but don't take a large amount of notes, because if you take a bunch of notes, then none of the information will actually seem very important because you took notes over all of it. So just take notes over a modest amount, just the important things. And then after the lecture, and this is the important part, make sure you don't look at your notes, but try and recall and remember as much as you can from the lecture, and then write that down, particularly writing it down whenever you are looking at a book or in a lecture, because that will help you remember it even more. So write it down and then go back and look at your notes and try it, and then it'll help make new connections or strengthen the connections that you have based on what you wrote down because you tried to get there. I hope this video has helped you level up your life. Please don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.